Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's an honor for being here in the last leg of the whole summit for some cutting-edge discussion on a summit dedicated to the future. I feel very honored to be bringing something new to this conference, something from bringing topics of branding and also the topic of Asia. So, before I start, just you notice my name, Vladimir Đurović. I think it looks pretty local, but actually I'm Serbian from my parents, but I was born in France and grew up there. And I've been spending the last 25 years in Shanghai, where I founded my company 20 years ago, LABBRAND. LABBRAND is now a top let's say, brand management agency with presence, of course, in China, in Asia, but also in France, New York. And basically, I wanted also to say that with my, with this, perspective I have, I think I have something to bring to this conference that go beyond all what we've discussed so far. And I think the title says it, we talk about business strategy, and I'm talking about branding today. So I want to say that maybe one of the missing points that we had in the discussion is this very fundamental element of business strategy that is branding. So we have observed tremendous change in the last years and weeks, and maybe it's an understatement to say that we are in the era of the Asia rise, and some of you may agree that with me about that. So I would like to take a bit of this time to share my perspective that could be useful to you personally, to your businesses, to your maybe countries or institutions. I think all of us work for some type of brands, and that what I can share today can be a way to project you in making this reorganization of the world to your advantage. So the work that reorganize creates new possibilities for growth, new flows of capital, technology, influence, and attention. Potential is not rare, but movement is. Here we have the chance in Southeastern Europe to have to be at the intersection of some of these flows and to create a strategic and this put us in a place that we are able to create new openings to navigate through this systemic change. The question is how possibility becomes realized growth. This has been a recurrent theme over the last 3 days. I feel I'm standing here at the vantage point with 3 days of stimulating talk and the chance to kind of provide a form of summary. Of course, the ultimate goal we have is to have economic movement. And there is the thinking of being pragmatic. Let's make a return on investment. But what precedes that is that we need to create some foundation of trust. And what precedes trust is simply to enter the conversation. So it's very important to understand that any growth, especially sustainable growth and strong system is never based on one strength alone. And since I come from China, I do deliver on this Asian flavor for sure with this picture. There is always an interaction from complementary forces. Some are visible, some are less visible. So the young side, the visible side, is the one that is based on capabilities. And behind each capability, behind each product, there is the invisible, the meaning. We come across that during the whole summit about the mention, we need a vision, the meaning behind the visible. More than that, actually, we also have execution being predictable, that is part of this young side. And on the less visible side, you have all the trust that needs to be there to make things move. So behind the young side that we discussed quite extensively with the technology, the innovation, the product, the infrastructure, the operation, there is the less visible side of the yin side, the brand power, the culture, the perception and meaning, the relationships. So let's go a little bit into that less visible part, the brand power. Put it simply, there is 3 brand powers. The first brand powers is the one that defines your identity through leadership. What does that mean? The identity helps you enter conversations. It is also the backbone around which your market will shape. So pay attention to what I say. It's about being a backbone around which the market will shape. It is not about pushing your product advantage or your offering. It is something that when it's well done, it's more authentic and more rooted in your real story. It's something that goes beyond pushing forward something that might be more fragile, more timely. So this is very important to say this little nuance here. And the second brand power is about shaping relationship through experience. So this is about how you engage, how you will create relationships with your how you create interactions, how you will create experiences that connects you with your customers. We, as brands, create always universes that immerse people and to create this moment of link and shared experience and ultimately building trust. So this second level of experience is also fundamental. The last and not least power is the power that will create collective movement through influence. It is about how you finally create momentum and influence. This is actually how do you achieve this momentum? It's through your vision, through your belief. These are things that, the vision is what will motivate your people, your employees, your partners, your communities to start joining you and move with you. Every momentum is basically, the first leap is always a kind of a revolution. This always starts with this type of visionary clarity. So I'm going to just walk you through a few examples of brand power building that I've encountered with my company in China that could be great references. For the first power identity, I'd like to bring you to California. This is actually the tour through California. This is about a few years ago. I've been solicited by Airbnb. This is the Airbnb office in San Francisco to help them in entering Asia, and especially the Chinese market. So why did they come to us is to create a brand identity for China. It was a very comprehensive project, and behind the creative strategy, we had actually one main aspect was to create the Chinese brand name. So I'll mostly walk you through the brand name creation, which is something that my company, being in Shanghai, we've done this for hundreds and hundreds of companies, very famous brands globally. And you can see that we engage into a very systematic process with legal checks, linguistic checks, and testing with consumers to make sure that the name that we choose is the optimal name. So even you can see some strong interactions with founders like the CEO of Airbnb, Brian Chesky. And once the name is chosen, we also integrate this name. Here is IBing, I'll tell you about it, how it integrates into the visual identity to create basically your new identity, your key to the Chinese market. And with that come also localized messaging, adapting to the Chinese values. Chinese youngsters travel with their parents. They there is a stronger sense of piety that we can also find in the Adria region. And that is sometimes very different from what you will find in the North American markets. After creating more than 1,000 names, we finally came up with a name that is IBing. That means I means love, B means mutually, each other, and Ying is welcome. So the translation will be welcome each other with love, which actually conveys really the authentic Airbnb brand vision. And I want to underline in this project that that a localization of a brand for China is not just an adaptation to enter China. It's usually opening a new chapter of development and opening the next development. So in this case, I think the learnings for you is that despite this hard work of Airbnb, the company didn't stay in China. So I think the lessons for us here is to be a little bit relaxed about this is reserved to big tech company to think about Asia. Airbnb, even such a giant with such a strength, they didn't manage to land in China for some economic reasons or the structure of the real estate market. But what stayed, because they really worked on the authenticity of their brand, the Chinese name is much deeper reflection of their identity than Airbnb, which is originally just a coin name of the experience of the first time they greeted some guest in a home. So they had to add some airbeds, and they make it very funny. So it was kind of a joke, but still rooting to this moment of the creation. But in China, it was, in this project of creating the Chinese name, it was a much deeper process. So this name stays actually strong right now in China. And even though Airbnb is not present, they don't have rooms in China, they are in the mind of consumers, of hundreds of millions or hundreds of millions of Chinese travelers going abroad and actually being with Airbnb. That means you don't need to be in China to be working with China. I think this is actually a very important perspective for Adria region, to shift the perception. It's not necessarily about sending goods to China. This is going to be a tough job to be better than China in some domains. So nowadays, it's not only American companies that are coming to Asia. We have here, I'm not sure if you know this name and this bank, Attijari Wafa. Happy to bring another continent on the stage. This is the largest bank of Africa, and from Morocco. And they also wanted to enter the conversation with the Chinese counterparts because, of course, Chinese investment in Africa is extremely important. And we start to work with Attijari Wafa to help them strategize on how to embrace a new financial landscape, to make sure that when investment is made in the African region, that Attijari Wafa is part of the process. So we have worked on developing with them a whole messaging strategy to address government bodies, industry partners, China-Africa associations, basically to be able to address the whole ecosystem that is relevant for them in China. And beyond that, there is always a bit of bridging cultures, because here you can see a very traditional Chinese knot, and you can see inside, you can see and probably read already, even though you haven't studied Chinese, you could guess what it means. That's the best way to learn Chinese. You can see the zhong character that stands for middle, a square with a line in the middle. So it can only mean middle. So you at least you learn to speak a little bit of reading Chinese today. First step on your journey. And then you have the fei of Africa. So we embedded Africa and China into the key visuals that we developed. With these types of presence that we've seen for two examples, Airbnb and Attijari Wafa, we can, these are, first step of presence, but credibility appears only when this is done over a period of time. Means you need to do this coherently and to stand out, to become recognizable and trustworthy. So basically, branding is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And one good example, actually, I can pick up from this region is Telekom Serbia, which has been building a credible bridge over the years. And I maybe also be on this stage thanks to this effort. Definitely, we reach high numbers, especially high numbers by the standard when you look from Adria. These numbers are maybe more humble when you look at it from an Asian perspective. And just to talk about this credibility, it's not built only, as I said, about talking about who you are and what you have to offer. Of course, we have nice production from the region to promote to Asia and so on. We have also what is very important is to connect with the daily life of Chinese with, you can see the Year of the Horse, or sharing even some broader knowledge about our ecosystem in Serbia and the Adriatic region. So with this momentum being created, we can see that the business momentum comes when the ecosystem follows. And while Telekom Serbia started this movement, we can see that now some of the local brands of the region are also coming into the market. Like I will show you the example of Bambi Plasma, which is this iconic brand from the region. And this is to my concluding slide on the example. So. Because I see the times is up and I have some pressures on the side that I can feel. Yeah. And so it's very important for those brands, for our brands in the region, but it's valid for any Western brands. And it's an important message for everyone that actually there is no more a difference, such a gap for us here in the region as for the Western brands that entered before. We should not have any complex, because coming from this region or from France or from US, it's very hard to succeed right now in China. So you really need to do your hard work into looking at your leadership, at what really make your value proposition work. You need to be ready to learn. And here's just an example of some learning expedition we've done recently with the leadership of Bambi. In conclusion, short conclusion, is in this reorganizing world, brand power is your invisible ally to turn potential into momentum for this region, for your companies, for all of us. Thank you.